everyone. So today we start the first presentation. You need to mute yourself.
It was not the speaker.
Yeah, thank you. So we start with the project Readly, Reuse or Lose. So the content of the presentation will go as follows. First, we define the problem which we want to solve. Then we describe how we did the user research, how we analyzed our users, created personas. Then we set up the processes. This is very important for us because we are management course. So we are going to dive into the processes as well. Then we will talk about the prototype and how we tested the prototype. Then we conclude to the decisions and making the first release, and then stating the hypothesis, the second release, and the future plans. So first we start with the problem statement. We had the hypothesis that it's hard to start recycling, that there is no official up-to-date recycling information about how to recycle. Basically, there are some established rules for every city which change from time to time. And that is why newcomers to recycling, they are struggling with the finding this information. Sometimes they get confused. So first we wanted to identify the requirements for our project. And as we remember that 36% of software projects, they fail because of three main reasons. And the first top reason is that the requirements were incomplete. That's why the project failed. That is why we came up to this plan. So we first identified the stakeholders, then we set up processes, conducted user research, decided on what value we want to bring with our project, and then we formulate the requirements depending on what we have learned from these points. So we organized an interview on 9 people. 5 of them were beginner recyclers and 4 of them are experienced recyclers. And we identified that the system as is that users search on the internet, they use search in the recycling chat, and they also look at the PDF tutorial information. So basically we have a Recyclify Annapolis messenger chat where people have the tutorial written PDF just to print information how to recycle, but that PDF is not updated and it's already has some outdated information. And people get confused because they see one information in chat, another information on internet, and then another information in PDF. So they don't like it because it makes them confusing and makes it hard to recycle. So yeah, we identified stakeholders, and the current stakeholders which we engaged into the project is beginners, recyclers, and Annapolis newcomers. These are experienced already recyclers, but when they come to Annapolis, the rules are a bit different, so they also need to know how to recycle. And the possible is the student affairs, city halls, recycling companies, which might affect our project direction, promotion, and maybe some recycling companies would give us more information and data.
Okay, thank you, Lydia. And now we'd like to talk to you about our main persona. We call him Artyom. He's 22 years old. And why 22? Because when we asked around, we found that people usually start recycling at about 22, 24. And he's a front-end developer. He works in the techno park. He lives in the residential area. And he's never tried to sort waste. So this is our main focus for when we're thinking about the users. And he believes that recycling is meaningful for the humans, so he has good intentions. And we identified 3 values that we would like to deliver with our product. The first is providing access to up-to-date information about recycling. The second is to make it easier to start recycling. This kind of process takes learning, takes trial and error. It has some friction to it, and we would like to ease this process. And lastly, we would like, of course, to make the world a better place. And this is the process we used. We are happy about it, we're proud about it, and we would like to show it here. First of all, we had weekly planning and retrospectives. We had our Jira boards where we planned the epics for milestones. We did task estimations using t-shirt sizes, so like small, medium, and large. And we did backlog prioritization. And in the next slide, we'll tell you more about our roadmaps. So as you can see here, we had multiple roadmaps, starting from research back in September, and then we did the prototypes, and then we had multiple releases, each one with a different modification or improvement or adding some screens. And as you can see here, we still have releases to come, or like milestones to come. And as you can see, we're currently in this phase here. And this is, we'll see this in the future plans. And
so I would like to talk about how we started. So first we started with the ideation. This is an example of an application we tried. On the first picture, we took a shot of a bottle and it just said that it's a bottle. No information how to throw it, or nothing else. And there we tried to scan barcode and again, no information. So how did we start? We had a system as this, and we identified what we wanted to improve in it. We also had to decide on the platform we wanted to build on our project, and also identify constraints and limitations. So our decisions are for the value we decided to aggregate scattered information to just one place, so it's easier to access, easier to update. For the platform, we decided on mobile application because mobile phones are always the person. It's simple to use and easily accessible. And our constraints are for this project on this stage is geographical. We support only in Affordances because there are different rules for different cities or recycling companies. And we also can't have exhausting database because it's pretty large for each product. So we decided to concentrate on labels that generalize types of materials. So here's an example of a label and where you can find it. It's usually somewhere on the packaging. It's easy to find. And here's our prototype. As you can see, we listed the labels, and we have the text search bar in case someone wants to search by text. So we made a prototype with maze, and there's a bit of hip hop. Our insights are users click everywhere. They usually try to find type of material themselves, and they usually don't like to use any kind of search boxes. So we had 29 testers, 11 of the tests were moderated with 5 missions, and the misclick rate is about 28%. This is an example of a roadmap mission in maze. Screens and navigator. So, features prioritization. For the first release, we wanted to concentrate on the main things, main value we wanted. That's provide recycling labels with easy to access manner, list of unlabeled products, like unlabeled products are products which don't have labels on them, like batteries, kettle, and things like this. And also give guidelines how to prepare them for throwing. And for the next release, we decided to do moderator accounts so that people who are accredited from us can modify the database. They are trustable. They should be trustable people, and yeah. Also, we would like text search and educational content.
Besides, we assessed our risks. For example, we had certain conditions under which we could face some negative consequences. For example, the app database, if we would have the app database insufficient, inequality, we would face some users that would not trust our application and wouldn't use it. Besides, also, if people are not interested in cycling, we would just have lack of interest in our application. And if we would chosen the wrong platform, for example, to promote our application, like for example, any other chat in Telegram, like we wouldn't like people wouldn't be aware of it. So going on next one. So what we have done, we did an open test release for the users in our release user community that we created to promote our application. And for current, like at the time that we made screenshot, we had 70 members that were downloaded our application, and we collected some statistics. So when the first time we released our application, 7 users downloaded it, and after in the period of 7 days, we had 1 person who opened the game, and after that 0 retention. And we got the following insights from our testing experiments and the smart methods. We found out that we have high misclick rate. We found out that users do not understand the purpose of the app. And besides, we have too much text on the main screen. So what we have decided to do, we distinguished clickable and non-clickable items. We added tutorials to make people navigate in our application in a smoother way. And we showed details when users click on products, for example, how to utilize them, etc. So for now, we have current release functionality, which includes the access to recycling labels. We have unlabeled items, which have their own way to recycle. And we have non-recyclable labels, which are attached to anomalous realities. And we added tutorials.
Okay, now I will explain how we implement our design decisions. As you see, this is our design before analysis, and we realized that users really like to click on cars. They think they are clickable, so we remove the cars and make these labels bigger so that users understand that they can click and somehow interact with them. The next problem with this label that we have non-recyclable label that were not clickable because there's no information on them how to recycle them. So it's no dialogue for them. So we need to make users understand that it's not clickable. So it's just in gray colors, like it's disabled, and users don't want to click. Also about a lot of text on the main screen, we hide it with the dialogue so that it's easier to navigate and search for what item users looking for. And we also have this non-recyclable items that also not clickable because there's no.
I got grades for empirical method, only that. But yesterday my presentation we got 110 out of 110. So I think I will get any requirement using others.
You can mute him, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Great colors. Yeah. And our introduced features with the current release is the tutorials. It's a short notes about how to organize sourcing, for example, how to start so that people can understand the context of the recycle. What is it? How to start, some navigation in the sphere for totally beginners. And we stated our hypothesis. So we assume that tutorial screen will help to improve our retention rate. Yeah, we released, it was our production release, and we promoted it through our community and through the chats. So you see that we have this high level of engagement firstly, but after that, it's not so much activity. We have 33 total users and about 2 users per day. Yeah, about hypothesis. Our hypothesis was rejected because, as you see, this is our first release for open testing, and this is the production release, and there is not much difference in retention. So after a few days, we still have 0 retention. Yeah, that's actually about if we assume that we have some perfect draw through the app that we assume users to do, we think that they first enter the app and then they click labels because it's the first that users see on the screen, and then they scroll down and see that they can click on product and click on product. Then they find out that there is a tutorials because it's another screen, and then they just would like to send feedback for us and say what they like and what they know. And from this chart, I think that we lost users on each stage, but the interesting thing that users that really like to send reaction to tutorials really like to send feedback. So yeah, and also the users that click labels also find out that it's clickable products as well. Yeah, we did huge modulated testing. We invited 20 participants and interviewed them with a structured questionnaire, and yeah, we realized that we realized 8 unexpected behavior in our app. So based on them, we finished with 6 design decisions. Yeah, and about our future work, what is planned to do next? We are going to continue work on the app after the course ends. So the next feature I think would be really nice is to introduce a quiz so that users can check their knowledge in the app, so that experienced recyclers can play with it and share score. And yeah, and the next really big features is about that we want our community to support data for the app by themselves, so we don't need to moderate it as developers, and we will introduce moderated accounts. Yeah, that's actually how moderated accounts look like. It's authorization screen and editing screen, so that yeah. Yeah, and about our team. So here you can see our main responsibilities in our work. So Lydia was responsible for design and documentation. I was responsible for development and data analytics. Ahmed joined us for the second part of our project, but he did really big help with development and user testing. So Hamid was responsible for database, organization, and content, and also for documents. And Ravil also was responsible for development and documents. Yeah, you can try our app by your own with our link to. Thank you.
You left, it's 20 minutes the presentation, or 18 minutes. So definitely
So
that,
6 more
6 minutes
minutes.
left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can explain the third.
Yeah, actually, we have time to explain what actually the name Ridley of the app means. So we wanted to make some name that is not like a first association level with the app, like some recycling app or something like that. We just want second level. So the Ridley is the name of a type of turtles that suffers from the plastic in the ocean. That's why it's like, you know, more emotional connection with the app.
let me ask a few questions so that you know. You asked that they were not here, no? So I'll explain you how we do it this time. We do the evaluation in a very algorithmic way. So there are the criteria, and we attribute green, orange, or green, red. No, green means that you fully met the criterion. Orange, kind of. Red, some concern or we didn't see. So I wanted to ask you, for example, about the tech stack and implementation. There was a slide, right? Can you show me again about the tech stack and your implementation? There was something, but you didn't make this very explicit, right?
We only said that we would use mobile as a platform. Yeah. We would have included our tech stack, but we didn't see it. I think for the.
So this is the kind of this is for me is kind of orange because it was not fully explicit. No? So this for tech stack and implementation, we give maximum 3 points. Orange is probably 3, not 3 points. Risk assessment, the same probably. No?
We had risk assessment as we
Yeah, I think there was a slide, right? Hamid, you talked
The-
about
the-
risk assessment.
Go further.
Yes.
Yes.
So we identified the risks which, in the terms of conditions and consequences, this is what we learned from MSD course, that it's better to mention risk in this term because you need to analyze not only the risk but their consequences as well. And we came up with these 4 main risks,
Okay,
main
yeah,
causes.
so it's okay. This is agreed. Just yeah, because I didn't match it with my mental. It's likely there are prospects, but it's correct. For example, description of elicitation techniques.
Yes, interviews.
There was one slide.
Yeah, I think this is how it's stated. Right.
Also, we had the slide about user interview.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
Okay,
The-
here.
I think we also had one at the end.
Yeah. the-
Okay, so we were probably expecting a better explanation of the methodological of the process, so, but it's okay. And the SRS, this you didn't show, right? You didn't present any specific list of requirements in any form.
Yeah, actually, from SRS, I think we have a slide with limitations. Yeah, it's here. So about what requirements actually we have for limitations, and yeah, the mobile app. So this is actually the main points I think from SRS.
Yes, also the requirements are, so it's not like one place to search, but the whole presentation is like the presentation
Yes,
of our
yes.
SRS. So we include risks, we include decisions, we include the features. So it's like a bit of not the
I
structure.
agree.
but just-
No, yeah, we decided to do this very algorithmic thing with all these criteria, but I understand that this is limiting very much the creativity in the presentation. Anyway, so I give my score, I'm just giving the score, but the score is the same, the average. So you scored 100 points. If the maximum is 110, you scored 100. Because now we have to discuss, but basically we put orange in the description of elicitation, in the SRS, and in the text tag. And everything else is green. But you still got the maximum point. Then, of course, we can discuss this. We will publish. I mean, we will publish, not publish. We will, if you write us, we will send you your table, and then you can argue and then maybe you have some. No, it will be also for us, not to improve the feedback system. Maybe you can discuss. So if you want to have it, just write. You want to? Not probably want to add something.
I think, guys, as always, the presentation is very strong on aesthetics. So, like, I think your team is like the strong side. You try to make things kind of beautiful, yeah. So, and also the text, everything was readable. I think no other presentation had everything readable. You know, so this is
Yeah,
like,
some are very, very
Yeah.
hard to read.
yes, yeah. So this is like well done, guys. In terms of the product, I like how you formulated the problem statement. If you can go to the slide, the very first one, you know, yeah. Kind of, this is the problem set. It is hard to start recycling. This is the assumption, right? Or the hypothesis that you have. And that you can, since it is hard, you can make it easier. This is the whole idea of the product, right? What's interesting is that here, hard and easier is what will determine the product. So on one hand, why is it hard? On another hand, how to make it easier? And what does it mean, hard? And what does it mean, easier? So you took the path of that there is little information and that new recyclers struggle to find necessary information. This is kind of what the product revolved around, but there are other ways to explain the same problem, right? Other reasons to give. So my suggestion is that you explore other reasons as well. So you like basically keep the same problem statement, but try to have maybe a different follow-up for it. Because I think you're at a place where you need to think about where to take the product next. And just improving the existing features is not enough. It will make the app smoother and nicer and stuff like this, but then you need to make, I don't know, because I'm thinking of folk behavior model where it's like motivation versus ability, right? So you concentrated on ability, trying to make it easier, but also on some very particular part of ability is like my access to information. But for example, for me as a recycler, I never framed it in a way that, oh, if only I knew the labels, then I would be able to recycle, you know? I never formulated like this. So for me, I would approach it more algorithmically. Okay, what are the steps I need to take to start recycling in an easy way that I don't have to think about it too much or change my life completely, you know? So this is kind of a suggestion I would give you on how to proceed with that. Keep the statement, think, ideate on what could be other ways to target it. Okay, and one more thing I wanted to ask about is the Affordances Funnel. I think you're also the only team who showed a proper funnel where you like with the steps. It's yes, so this one. Who were the users here? I mean, who? Like, yeah.
From the group chat that we had,
okay.
Random students who are still studying here.
It is the usability testing, or these are different?
It includes usability testing, and it includes also independent users.
Okay, how did they discover this? I mean, in usability testing, because you tell them probably, do this, do that, right?
Actually, the first part of the usability testing is just exploring when we give them a phone, and in silent, they need to explore what is the app and try to understand for which reason they need this app. So that was the first part, and then we will have questions.
Okay.
So they can explore them.
Okay, so you don't tell them, okay, now click the label, now click the product. So people are doing it by their own.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there were people from the testing who didn't click anything at all because they were trying first clicking disabling item, and then they saw that none of the items are clickable.
But this is quite a nice conversion from 33 people to 9 people giving you feedback. It's like almost a third of them, you know? I mean, for
actually,
quarter, yeah.
This is not like they really send the feedback, but click the send feedback button.
Okay.
So actually, we really did the feedback like emails. This button wrote you to the email client that you have on the phone, and we had some feedbacks, but it was like a 2 maybe.
Okay.
We received about 3 feedbacks then.
Okay, so you can have one more step, but then okay, 10% of people send the feedback. This is not a bad funnel, I would say. I mean, obviously you can improve on it, but nicely done presenting it here. And the last thing that I wanted to ask is demo. You didn't do a demo, right?
We moved the slide yesterday, so we would not have time for the demo.
You can do demo by yourself by just scanning the QR.
Okay, no, I know the app, right? I used it, so like, I mean, but it's always a good idea to have a demo and to make people understand what your app is about, and then talking about it is easier. I mean, like, especially your app is easy to explain, right? You can show it in the beginning, you know, or after at the solution stage or at the end, you know. So okay. Otherwise, I don't have questions. So well done, guys. Well done. Good work.
Thank you very much. Do you have anything to say to us? Feedback or comment, suggestion?
Happy holidays.
Yeah, maybe about some concrete points. I think we want to think about it more because I do have some suggestions for the courses, both courses. I would rather read the feedback for, but basically I enjoyed the course, so I really enjoyed my master's degree because I graduated here from bachelor. So yeah, I really want to now proceed with the master's because first, like 5 or 4 months, they were like for me, okay, I will drop out. I don't want to continue. So yeah, and I don't want to.
Should we add another course in the project? 3 courses? No, seriously, no?
Yeah,
Should we
this is
try?
one thing about this connection from me, for example. So sometimes it was hard to map the requirements course to such a simple application because we were discussing requirements in a huge sense, you know, when we built some, we had some requirements for airplanes or something because their requirements do mean a lot. And for us, for our small app, we just do agile and we just change it and that's all. So this was a bit harder to map sometimes, especially when we were writing some SRS, big SRS templates for small app.
And
It's
actually,
like a bit.
yeah, with experimenting with the app, because it's an experiment, we don't know what is good and what is bad. At one point, we redesigned the whole app. So we had completely different apps, so different requirements, and nothing is stable.
But it was cool to get back to our first assignment and we took risk assessment from there. So it's just the points which we just copy and pasted, we uploaded it from Moodle and then just a bit changed it. So we already had a risk assessment and it's so cool that we made these risks. So that was also nice.
It is too early not to try to extend it to another course.
I think we have to re-examine because it is a trade-off, definitely. I mean, the main reason we've combined it is to make it easier for you guys. So instead of having 2 projects together with MSD, you know, maybe it would be too much, but it is a trade-off. We were discussing it also with Mufi and with Hamne that one thing that probably you're missing within this course is having a customer who dictates, you know, like a client who is as if a client is paying you, because it's a little bit different relation in terms of like having a customer. Sometimes you have to manage his expectations. Sometimes he will say things just because he wants it, you know. So, but now you were the ones who make the decisions ultimately, you know. So you also missed out on this part, but I think you still gained a lot, and you will get to experience the other part during industrial project. So yeah, we need to think in terms of whether it's more benefit or like, yeah.
Actually, about this point about combining courses, I had some kind of feedback. I wasn't sure like what I was going to make it, for example, for the whole course, like a whole semester feedback, which is, for example, here in this project, our customer was somewhat abstract because it's not just one person. As you said, there is no customer dictating what should happen. For example, not a recycling expert who has been recycling for 30 years, who knows almost everything about recycling and knows exactly what he wants. We're trying to collect this from the people. And for example, also in PSP, also the same idea. Like we don't have a concrete customer. Some stuff are easier to estimate, and some are more general. It depends on the taste of the people, kind of. And also about combining it, for example, with MSD. And MSD, we were, in my opinion, some stuff were a bit more theoretical or a bit hard to see how it would apply in a real scenario, because some stuff are very detailed and it's like, I probably will not do this in my project. And my suggestion was, since we are here in Annapolis, we have a very special opportunities. Like, for example, we have the techno part. And I don't know, my suggestion would have been is maybe instead of doing this kind of projects, like, for example, we have lots of companies in techno part, and each of them has a manager. And what better way to learn management is by accompanying a manager. My idea was like, maybe each of us would be assigned some kind of like to be an assistant of a manager, for example. They will get an assistant for free, and we will see actual work, and we do requirements solicitation from the customers that are paying our manager, and do all these tests and maze and everything with real life customers. So there's a product, there's a need, there is people managing, there are employees that need management, there are timelines, there are milestones, and it's all not abstract, it's all practical. And I don't know why it wouldn't work in any other university probably, because they don't have technical part.
It's very hard also to organize here.
It would be very hard to organize, but it's somewhat like a step back, like maybe a preparation from the industrial project, because that's what we will do anyway. Like industrial project is basically going to a company and working for them. So I don't know. I like this would probably be able to combine all three aspects of the course.
Can I say something? I think, well, what Ahmed says is very practical, but with all this incorporating the Technopark, for most of us, there would be language barrier, because I think mostly the Technopark has Russian customers. They are built around the Russian market, and also it might be difficult for all of us to get some kind of role in that. But yeah, apart from this, what you said is very practical in my view.
And he's got a good point. Like for me, I didn't consider this because I think at this point I can at least interact to an extent with Russian like managers or employees, but it's not necessarily to directly interact. Like maybe just being like in my head, like just being an assistant to a manager, maybe just managing his fines or managing the team or passing orders or something like this. You will see the whole picture. And even like only the manager maybe needs to speak English, and probably managers usually like are more than employees when it comes to English. I'm not sure.
I think it's
Actually, there is a potential that is underdeveloped. Now, this link with the Technopark is weak. I mean, for what in general, but especially for this program, we're not exploiting it that much.
I think like industrial project is a good place, but overall, I think into the future we will be the ties will be getting stronger and stronger, and maybe we have to capitalize on it in terms of this is
it's a very good resource that we're not fully.
Yes, and I also can see interest from companies. Like for example, we are getting a lot of companies coming with electives, and their main reason they want to find good people. So the same can be applied here in terms of in this program.
Interest. Now they come because they want to give that technology to get people interested in that technology. It's not very. Here is much more dual. No?
Yeah.
Because actually, imagine that does really a manager there wants you to be around him? I'm not sure.
Well, if you say like for example, you can get a free virtual assistant, which is like, no, why not? Like something like this, like it's going to be probably free because it's like already paid by scholarships.
Sometimes it's overestimated because now I have like an assistant and I spend much more time on training him.
Exactly, because the initial period is when you train the person, and then the person leaves because it's a short period. No? So one person should say, well, should I really spend one semester to train a person that stays one semester?
Yeah.
I think the bureaucratical problems, like included, like inviting the person from the Technopark, I think we need. It will require some documents to write.
That's the way you go there.
Yeah, you go there, and it should be without really documents because you're not really.
I think it's impossible to make it in this reality. I mean,
it has to be a formalized relationship.
Yeah. I don't know. Just a suggestion. Just like we can apply all the three courses, like MSD, requirements engineering, and PSP. Like in one course project. No, it's one course project. I mean, we can apply it all, not just theory. We can apply it with management, with employees, with the company, with the product.
That's what we were discussing yesterday about the fragmentation of knowledge. No, it exists because you have a degree in psychology, a degree in computer science, a degree in economics. But even inside the same degree, there is requirement engineering, PSP, which are kind of separate. We try now very hard to link them, but it's a lot of problems. So it's they learn things in a fragmented manner. Then they need to age to get older, and somehow this stuff will connect itself. But the education cannot provide this holistic understanding.
I think it's interesting.
I think the whole thing that we had in this semester organized like very properly. To my point of view, is just two subjects that the PSP and requirement engineering are good to practice our skills in small projects. Meanwhile, the MSD gives us like techniques to research the big industrial projects. So to my point of view, it has like a very good balance between this, because we see how we can analyze and try to project our knowledge that we got in our projects, which are smaller, yes, but in this case we can. But in the same time, we can apply them without facing a lot of struggling in the development, because we can't make an industrial project in one semester. It's impossible because people have different stack, different knowledge, different expertise. Like some people know, for example, it may be a team full of the front enders, for example, and one back ender. What you can do? it's going to be sad, for example, for in this situation, or vice versa, for example. And small projects are perfect for this because even in these teams you can manage to do something. But to my point of view, it would be impossible to make something bigger than like something very industrial in this case.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? It is interesting also what you mentioned about MSD. Yeah. And as Manuel said, some things you understand later as well. I mean, some things you learn at MSD now, then you face a situation where you really need it and you go revisit the same topic. You just know that such thing exists, you know, and then you kind of go and like, okay, that's how it's done. Yeah.
This is how it has to be done.
Yeah, but you were reflecting back, right? You were looking back. That's why also having experience is so valuable for this program, because then you can relate. You can see the reasons why this is important, you know, because otherwise, like problems will arise. But
I don't remember who said it. One who should live twice. The first is just a rehearsal, and then you do for serious. For example, now I know perfectly how to do very well my master thesis, but it's too late. You know?
You got the role there, so. Yes.
But it would be less fun, no?
Why?
no, but then it wouldn't help, right?
Probably it wouldn't help either.
Yeah.
Right.
Share your knowledge of how you would do master thesis with us.
No, because then maybe next time we want to do another master thesis.
Yeah.
You know exactly how to do that, but you know it, so you do another one. So you need a third life.
Yeah.
But okay, there is another group. They're not here.
Thank you. Okay, guys, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Have a nice holiday.
the next group, I think, are ready as well.
But they are online or they can?
Yes, they're coming.
They can.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a very, very nice semester.
I just came back, so I think I'll stay a bit.
Maybe we go to Egypt for Christmas.
Yes,
If we manage.
Very warm.
Okay, meet you around.
Пока. Yeah, so, but if you give us what else now? If you give 0 to that's not.
How you doing? Are okay?
You just came? Oh, you were already here. So many people travel and came to register.
Only one student. But still, we need to use the Zoom next semester too. If there is one. Yeah. Unless we do the recording. Yeah.
You guys also okay.
Ярик, слышишь?
Ну так, плохо. Окей. Тём, я начну транслировать, потом ты переключишь, окей?
Да, сейчас тут скромный микрофон, отрублю.
Nursultan, can we share the screen, please? Oh, Professor Matsara?
Yes, we are here.
Okay. Could you please provide permissions to share the video screen?
Now,
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Can you start?
yes, yes, yes.
Okay. First of all, I apologize that I'm online today because the doctor recommended me to not attend offline classes because of my sickness. I'm sorry. So let's start. Good morning, dear colleagues and professors. We're going to present you our our semester project, which name is A Strong Posture, Make It Yours. So in this presentation, we're going to cover six parts. In first, I will introduce you to the domain, to the problem, provide our vision, and explain our target users. Further, we will demonstrate our application and how it works. Then we will cover the analysis of the product, which we made during the whole semester, which include the software requirements specification, elicitation, and some insights from the observations. Also, we'll cover experiments, our hypothesis testing, and what we introduce from them. And further, we'll talk about our implementation, about the development process, and metrics. Also, we will cover our future plans and what we can improve in this project. So let's start with the introduction. So from the picture on the right, you can imagine what the project is about. Many people spend most of their time sitting at the table and working on the computer. And it's often, for most of them, for most of the people, to hunching over. That means that they will have not correct posture, which may lead to the health issues. So in this project, we're trying to introduce solution of this stuff. So what we have the problem of low motivation of the people who are working behind the table. They don't care about their posture and sitting incorrectly. This leads to the big health issues. The treatment of them take a long time, and this is really expensive. And also, we figure out that here the market gap, and there's no web or mobile applications which will really push you to keep posture correctly. So what is the solution? The solution is obvious. Just punch the user and push them to straight up. But this is not really correctly. So what is our vision? Our vision is to create, and we created the web application which motivates users to straighten up using any available for us tools. They are push notifications, the sounds, and some gamification. The gamification needs to involve users to the process. So who are our users? We divided them in two main classes, but they is pretty similar. They are sitting on the desk, but they spend not some different time on that. The students of the school, the students of the universities spend not a lot of time, but spend time sitting behind the desktop and typing something. And second class is the office clerks, who spend most of their lifetime to sit on the desk and work on the computer. So let's me demonstrate our app. So we have our app deployed on the Firebase, and we are here. It is a starting page where the simple animation explains the goal of our app. So let's go start. Then the app asks user to share the video because we are introduce the recognition of the posture correctness by the video, but from our experiments, we recognize that users don't like to share the video. So right now I'm showing you without this feature. So then the app asks us to enable notifications, which is the main feature of the app. So here on the screen, we have the timer. The Pomodoro session is default is 15 minutes, the progress bar, and some experience, the gamification stuff process. Okay, so from time to time, you will receive the sound notifications or just push notifications to remind you to straighten up. By default, it's placed in the settings. The default value is 1 minute and 1 minute and 40 is default value, which we retrieve from the experiments. But for the demo, I will put some smaller values and you will see this. Okay, so I can go to some stuff and hear some sounds and see the push notifications which appears on the screen. Okay, I hope you hear it. And also we can change the sound. By the way, I will show the shortest part because I need to show you the finished screen. And when we finish the session, the app introduce the gamification stuff and give me some 10 diamonds. Okay, so let me show you the recognition, one of the main and experimental feature of our app. They require the camera access. So it's enabling. Okay, hello. So when I sit correctly and I put more time, okay, it recognized me to correct, and then if you're hunching over, I'm incorrect. So when and from the defined interval, it's pushed me when I'm sitting in incorrect position to straighten me up. Okay, that's it for the demo. And now I give words for the Vitaly. Thank you.
So about so you saw our demo. Now we will talk about what the project has in our requirements and our analysis. So about the requirements expectation, we used 4 methods. The first is the stakeholder analysis, because this project was pitched by Yaroslav at the start of the semester, so we already have some main vision about what should project look like. That will be the web application, that the core value is the posture reminders. And at the second, we made the prototyping without any application. We just sit with the user and send him messages to straighten up and see what the reaction will be. That was done even without any application, just as with the messages in the Telegram. After we had some versions of the application, we made observation. It was the active observations and questionnaire. We've done the 3 rounds of the interviews at several stages of the application functions. So about the SRS and our main requirements, the first is the Pomodoro sessions. It's a timer and the time lapse. The second is the posture recognition. Our main idea here is that we don't really need to have an instant recognition and notification, but it's good to have it like near 3 seconds to make user see that it's a feedback on his actions. And also we have no goal to have 100% of recognition. On any recognition, it's hard to achieve, but 90% it's okay for us. And the reminders, the main problem with the reminders, because all the users prefer different ways, so we need to implement different types of reminders to fit all the possible needs. And the gamification, it's not the really primary goal, but it's very good to have, because gamification keeps users engaged as it was with the recognition. So our risk, we have one major risk. It's the accuracy of posture correction, because it's maybe too ambitious for us to achieve the good accuracy, and we may not have time to implement the gamification. So that's our requirements prioritization. The first, of course, is timer and text notification. Without the application, it would not exist. It's the notification time, not the same.
And second is the two parts is the recognition of human posture, pose, not the posture, only recognition where there's the head, ears, and something like that, and the calculation of the score of the posture. So is this posture is good or not? The last one is the sound selection and gamification. So storyline, how we develop it. And the first, we made the only timer with the reminders. And as we met the problem with the posture recognition, we decided to make interview already on this stage to get some feedback. And the second, we made first very buggy version of the video recognition that had a lot of problems, but it already had some value, and we made the second round of the interviews on that. And the third round of interview was made with the modified and improved version of the correctness, which was not all the time, but for some users it was quite like good work. That's the questions for our questionnaire. We use 10 of them, and 3 of them are the most important. The first is, do you understand the purpose of the app? Will you use it? And are you comfortable with the camera? Because the main value of app comes with the camera access. And very interesting part here is that on the question, will you use it? On the different stages, we have different conversion. For example, with the timer, we made the 7 interviews, and only 1 of the users said that he will use application. When we have an even bugged version of an application, 5 of 8 users said that they will use it. Maybe it's because we are in Innopolis and here users more comfortable with buggy software and they can see the value. But already on this stage, we can confirm that users saw the goal of that. And with on the third round, with notification fixed and improved posture quality scoring, we have 7 out of 9 users that said that they will use it. And some insights that we get from the interviews. First is not all users know English. Even in Innopolis, we need to have some at least certification. Second, laptops without any webcam exist. It was very surprising, but one user did not have a webcam in the laptop. But it was mentioned that it was the master's degree student in security, so maybe we can say that security people are not our audience. Some people understood the purpose of app, but they done nothing with the posture when they get notifications. For example, you ask the user, do you understand the purpose of the app? Do you understand what the notification? He says, yes, I need to straighten up, and he's sitting like that and nothing. But at the same time, these people said that they don't care to the posture, so we also can say that it's not really target audience. Some people, it's very interesting thing that some people said correctly only after the second notification. So I will just demonstrate on me because it will be more. Some people said in wrong postures they get the first notification and they straight only their back and sitting still in the wrong posture. Only on the second notification they said, okay, now I will sit correct. So we need to explain what does it mean to set correctly, because not all the people understanding is various from people to people. And the main thing here is that reminders that based on the real state of the posture, they work very good. So maybe at 3, 4, 5 notification, it's enough to users to get fast habit to straight up on notifications, and that's really working. And also we got an idea that if we will be able to, for example, shut down internet access on notebook if user in the wrong posture, they will get instant habit to sit straight back when they have it. And time notifications, they are not really engaging the users. They feel that it's just notification, it's nothing special. So they did not engage. And one bonus, one user made an Instagram story with our application. And we tried to make an A/B test, but there was a problem. After interviews, we saw that some people were not familiar with the Pomodoro timer at all.
and we thought that maybe it will be good to use just a stopwatch. But as a result, we made some informal interviews how it works, and the problem was that users they not see the timer at all. The application is run at the background, and they get the timed notification or notifications based on their posture, so they don't really care about the type of the clock. That's our affordances. I spent too much time already. So just the main screen, permissions, affordances, and actions that are possible on the main screen, and some settings. So next is Arthur.
Yes, thank you, Vitaly. So let's move on the most interesting part of our presentation. It's about experiments and hypotheses. So our application has a lot of features, and of course, we need to determine which one is really worth it to implement or just could be a waste of our time. So we needed to determine, will this feature be useful for the customer? For this reason, we needed to conduct experiments and to accept or reject some hypotheses. And based on the experiment results, we draw a conclusion about the application feature, whether we really need it or it's just useless. So let's move on to the next slide. And the first feature is notifications. The main question of the hypothesis is, do the users really straighten up when they receive a notification? For this experiment, we collected random people, and all of them were told to perform some work in front of the laptop. The Pomodoro timer will notify them once in 5 minutes, and they will have a session of 15 minutes in total. And the observer from our team was directly watching the user and recording the results. Our result metric for the experiment was total minutes with correct posture during the session. On the next slide, I will present you the results of our experiment. And here you can see with blue, here you can see the 10 observations for 10 different people. With blue, you can see the total minutes with correct posture when the user is notified. And with dark blue, you can see total minutes when people were sitting without any notifications. It's clearly seen from this that when people receive some notifications, they try to keep their posture more time, even if they will forget about it in some, for example, 2 minutes, but they will receive a notification and try to straighten up. What we can conclude from this experiment, next slide, Vitaly, please. We can say that all people keep their posture more or the same time when receiving notifications. Most of them greatly increase their painless lifetime. So basically, they will not have any pain backs later on because they try to keep the posture, and maybe they will focus on this in the next sessions. As a result, our application brings the core value to the customers. So it's not useful, and we started to implement it. The next main experiment is about video tracking. And the main question is, do users really need real-time notifications or just periodic reminders have the same effect? For this experiment, we have also chosen random people having sit-in work. And this time they will receive notifications immediately when they try to hunch over, meaning sitting with incorrect posture. And again, we record the total time with correct posture during 15 minutes session. After this, we compare the results with the previous experiment. And yes, the next slide will show you that people that receive real-time reminders, well, when they are trying to hunch over, try to sit with correct posture more time than when they receive just periodic reminders. And this is just seems obvious, but we needed also to validate it to understand whether we need to implement video tracking in our application. So as a result, in conclusion, for this experiment, we want to say that there is no strong correlation between the results of both experiments. On the picture on the screenshot below, you can see that person 1 and person 2 have the same total time with correct posture when they have periodic reminders. But when they try to receive real-time reminders, total time did not remain the same. Person 1 was sitting more time with correct posture than person 2. So basically it depends. Total time with correct posture increased for all users. This is a fact that the conclusion from our experiment that we found out. So as a result, real-time notifications really help people to concentrate more on their posture and keep it. Thank you. Next to Bihuba.
So we collected several metrics during this project, so know how our users were using the application. So we have several metrics that we collected, but the most important one, we will show you 4 of the most important metrics we collected. First is the feature usage. We have, as you can see, 4 of our main users, 4 of our main feature here: sound, image, notification, and video recognition. As you can see, users prefer to use sound and notification. Next. So we also measured usage pattern of our application, how users are using the application. You can see on this chart, almost every user who visits the website will start a timer, and over from those people, 70% will finish the session, 22% will start a second session after the first one, and 70% will resume the timer before the session ends, and also 29% will change the session length. Next, we also measured user thickness on our application to see how often users come back to our application. As you can see, on the first day, almost 80% of users come back to the website, but this number quickly dropped. So we may need to do something to bring back users on our website. We also measured the average time spent per user on our website, and as you can see now, the number is around 30 minutes. So let's talk about our tech stack. First, we wanted to develop a Chrome extension for this project, but to move fast and to onboard users quickly, we decided to go with a web application. So we use React.js for the front end, C# for the backend with SQLite, Figma for UI prototyping, Amplitude for analytics, and JavaScript for on-device posture recognition. So now I will introduce our team, our amazing team. We have Yaroslav, who is our team manager. He also implemented the front-end UI. We have Arthur, who was responsible during this project of the video posture recognition feature. We have Vitaly, who played the role of the backend developer, and me. I was responsible for the analytics and UI prototyping. Next, we'll talk about our process during this project. To be honest, in the beginning of this project, we didn't have a clear organization and structure, no responsibility, no clearly defined role. But a few weeks later, we decided to choose a team manager. We chose Yaroslav, and we include a Scrum-like process with a Kanban dashboard. And also, each sprint, Yaroslav will create tasks and assign them to each team member. And regularly, he will ping us to know how the work is going. And we also have weekly team meeting with our team. It's also very important for us to notice the importance of the PSP and the requirement engineering course, who was very helpful to us during this journey. What we plan to do next, we plan to improve the posture recognition feature. We also plan to improve the gamification process to engage our user. We also plan to fix some bugs. We also need to experiment with different kind of sound because, as you may expect, the sound is something very subjective. So people love some sound, others didn't like some. We also need to promote our application, and eventually we will publish this application as a browser extension. So thank you very much for your attention, and we are open to your questions.
So we are, as you know, you weren't here before, no, but you know the way in which we are scoring. So basically, we check every criteria that was released, both me and number, and we give either green color, orange, or red. No, green means that everything is met, fully, orange, partially, red. No. Here, basically, we both me and number give all green. So if you scored under 10 points, you just basically touched deeply enough every point. So we are completely satisfied. You want to go?
The presentation was organized in a way that even grading and you were explicitly guiding them.
Yeah, I know, but probably. So I thought that you have seen the presentation yesterday and you adjusted because you are the only team that really did this precise.
No, yesterday I just combined everything that Nursultan wrote, that you wrote, the Hamna's feedback. I just put it in long list in the check boxes and just go.
You reminded us of most of the stuff we forgot to include them before.
So you understood how to score the maximum point in this exam. But there are limitations also in this approach. You understand that this year we did this experiment. We've been experimenting another way. It's very schematic, so it doesn't give space to much creativity in the presentation. I notice now to score maximum point, you have to do it very by the book, you know. And other groups they did it more creative manner. So
I thought that it's okay because at the previous presentation with the Nursultan, we had some feedback, and we had the first version that we presented. We made the second version with the first feedback, and that was the presentation of the project. But we thought that it's an exam, so we need to put a little more information than is necessary.
yeah, probably if you present this to an investor or something, maybe you have to do it differently. There are certain things that probably not relevant. Maybe prioritization, not interesting, risk, maybe not. Affordance,
technical.
Very technical. So yeah, this is an example. Now you presented your product to us according to the criteria that we defined, that we kind of agreed together to check that you studied all the material. This doesn't mean that it's the best presentation that you can do in another context.
I would like to add one thing more. Like I love all the teams throughout the semester, but other teams were like, let's say I used to hear from them more, which is good. It's nothing wrong with that. I used to have more enthusiasm, which is fine. Your team was the most calm team, but calm in a positive sense. So I feel that you guys are like silent heroes who let their success speak because your project is very good. But technicality is all awesome, and even your manners and professionalism. So I'm very, very pleased to have you guys in my class.
I think definitely what Hamna just said, that you are not kind of guys who, there are people who can present very well whatever they do. They do little and they will present it in a manner that you say, wow, these guys are cool, But you're not those kind of guys. You're guys who actually get the work done, and don't brag about it. Now you've covered a lot. You've shown your work so well done on the presentation, but also throughout the semester. I would, for me, seeing that the product is constantly progressing, and even now I was trying it, and the recognition is working well. I think the accuracy is there somehow. For me, it's very impressive here because it is not a trivial product to pull off, especially with recognition and so on forth. And that you were trying to, the amount of learning you did also trying to figure out, and the fact that you, when we were discussing that you should just observe people, how they react to notifications, I was hoping that you will do it, but I wasn't sure because it's like a lot to go to talk to people, to observe them. It requires a lot of proactiveness, right? And the fact that you did it is very cool. And then I can see that then later you also put some other questions which you try to answer by observing people. So this is, I think, like in these terms, I really like the results that you achieved.
This is the what pays in the long term, you know, because being very good at hand waving is a skill that can save your life in some moments, but you cannot really do for all life.
Yes.
You can alternate. Actually, if you have both skills, you can kind of alternate.
Yeah.
There are moments in which you have to hand wave to get out alive. Like if you are on the train and you have no ticket, you have to learn something in that moment. You cannot really explain technically why. But it's good to have both skills. But in the end, what pays off is consistency. You know,
Yes.
so.
And the actual work, yeah.
More and more these dragons then, how do you call it? This TV show where they show the product and the people say good, bad.
Dragon's Den.
Dragons Den, yeah. we talk like them now.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think that, of course, the rest of the students also, but you guys also, I think, more very much ahead in life with your soft skills and technical skills also.
What makes you reaching an objective is not running a lot and then stopping, but is walking slowly but consistently. This is really. But you wanted to add something else.
I wanted to ask some questions about the presentation. I mean, like it's mostly, as I said, I've tried the product. I just finished a 15-minute session. I got 900 points. So the question is, how are points assigned? And also, do you calculate the percentage of the time that I spent sitting straight?
I can answer your question. Yeah, the number of points is the number of seconds which you done with the session. And right now, the recognition is inconsistent, and we can't correctly calculate the amount of seconds which you sit correctly. So right now, yeah, it's a area for improvement, but right now it's just the amount of seconds in the session you finished.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I think at some point, if you show me statistic, for example, that I said 70% of time to straight, you know, and then you tell me, for example, try to do 75, you know, in the next session.
Like it's important part here is the history to show the user that he's progressing over.
Yeah, definitely. And then I'm like, oh, really? My back is becoming better, you know. This is, yeah, I think this is something you could do. Also, I've noticed, obviously, you need to improve the efficiency of the model, because my laptop started heating up because of recognition, I think, right?
It's not restricted recognition. We will use like 1 FPS, for example.
Okay.
Because now it's at maximum.
Yeah, so like basically, I think this is something also to resolve, but at this stage, maybe it's okay. And the effect of the video itself is interesting, you know, the fact that it also shows you the coordinates. For example, I'm noticing that my right shoulder is lower than my left shoulder, and that my head is like, and it's obvious on the screen, you know, and then I'm trying to straighten them up because, but then I'm understanding that it's not my natural position, you know. So the effect of video and the fact that you show coordinates is interesting.
This is what the osteopath also do. If you go to the osteopath first time, take a photo of you before and after the session, and it's really before you like this, and then you ask. So it's the same. Like it's a professional thing that is produced.
Yeah, we at the first versions with recognition, there was no video, and that there was just a text is posture correct or not, and that was not obvious to user what's going on.
Yeah,
so we added the video at that stage.
Okay, okay, but please.
There is another exam, so soon we have to go to another exam.
Thank you very much, and the ones online, thank you very much to you also.
Thank you.
And do explore how video affects the people and the fact that what you put in the video. For example, if there were no coordinates, but only yes, no, it would be different, right, as well. But these coordinates also do something to me. So I think progress with learning in that direction, because I think it would be something interesting. Okay. And how did you measure the minutes with correct posture in the learning experiments that you've conducted?
Arthur?
Could you repeat, please? Just the internet connection was poor.
So you've conducted several experiments trying to answer the questions, whether this works or that works, and then you compared, as the thing to compare, you took the minutes of correct posture to compare them, right? How did you measure the minutes of correct posture?
So all the experiments were done basically in front of the observer, or we would visually monitor with the camera him. So when the user was sitting with correct posture for some time, we started a stopwatch. So at the end of the session, we just looked at the number at the stopwatch and recorded it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I think last thing is that when you were mentioning your users, you mentioned that office clerks, right? And you said most of their lives they sit at their computers, you know, like, and this sounded really sad, you know. Like, yeah, but the
posture is not their biggest problem.
Yeah, but like this actually leads to the point that I think your product ultimately it is useful, you know, it is resolving a real problem that people have now. Yeah, we do see it in front of computers so much time. So the fact that you're targeting this problem and the solution seems interesting, you know, like it's, as you know, I'm one of the regular users of your product. Yeah, so I think like keep going, guys. This is what makes also your product special, because you're targeting a real problem. I think, yeah, if you can succeed at resolving it, you can improve health of a lot of people, and this is, I think, what's better, you know, to do in life. You know? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this can be a major impact. We don't think about it, but sitting up 1 year, another year, it's not a matter of 3 days. But year after year, our posture is definitely far from what should. Our health in general is very far from what it should be if you would live in a more natural environment. This is not a natural environment. Sitting in this kind of natural environment is being in the forest, probably. So our health becomes very much affected. Let's do what we can.
Yeah.
It cannot be perfect, but anything that helps.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Artur, Yaroslav, thank you.
Yaroslav, Artur.
Thank you. Thank you too.
Bye.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Bye.